It's been around a month since the Escalation update was released into live play. With the update, there have been many changes in the game and its community. Some successes and some failures. But overall, was the Escalation update successful? This video aims to answer that very question. I know that the question, was the Escalation update successful, is a very broad question. What do you mean by successful? They did some things right and some things wrong. The update has had positive and negative effects on the community. How can you evaluate such an impactful update with one question? You really can't, is the answer. And you shouldn't, because it oversimplifies the answer. So, to make the question a little bit more specific, I divided the video up into two questions. First question, was the update's impact on the game beneficial? Basically, this question will cover everything that happened after the update was released. For example, bugs, patches, player pop increase, etc. The second question is, was the release of the update successful? This covers RPG's preparation for the update, the playtests, the delays, etc. But anyways, let's move on to the first question. Was the update's impact on the game beneficial? This includes any bugs that came with the update, the player increase, any new metas or strategies that came with the update, and so on and so on. Starting off with the player increase. This is obviously a positive. The game's population has tripled over the last couple months because of the hype around the Escalation update. This new pop brings better fights, a better community, and more revenue. There's not really a need to explain why game having players is good. Alright, so it's 1 point to the update being a success. Let's continue.
Power's ours. Just can't take outside nothing else.
Moving on to any bugs/glitches that came with the update. Bugs and glitches are obviously a negative. I would like to say though, that compared to other updates, this one, especially for its size, has had very few bugs. Aside from randomly crashing, the only other semi-bad bug was in-game comms not working for about a week. This really hindered Outfit's abilities to run platoons. Without these open platoons, it's far more likely for a new player to be lost for a long amount of time and quit the game. Bugs are obviously a negative, but honestly I think RPG did well to lessen the amount of bugs that would come with this update. They did many playtests and community events to help spot these bugs before they were put into the live game. I'll touch more on RPG's testing later on in the video, so to conclude, I don't think the bugs that came with this patch should be considered a failure, because bugs are inevitable, so I think that we should sort of avoid these bugs that came with the patch. Moving on to any new metas or gameplay mechanics that were added with the update. First, let's start out with the new war assets. I think these overall are a pro. They're bringing new content to the game and give platoons and outfits more tools to create good gameplay. I say overall though because I can see some negatives to the war assets. A good example being base builders now get destroyed by orbitals very frequently. I think Steel Rain is way too expensive, but that's not really a negative to the gameplay. But like I said before, overall I think the war assets are positive to the game. Another meta, let's call it, that I want to touch on is the inter-faction rivalries that this update has caused. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will briefly explain it to you. Bases now have resources. Your outfit gets the resources by participating in a capture of the base or tagging the base. Tagging a base will get your outfit resources based on a tick timer. So now, outfits are going out of their way to tag bases, and if a rival outfit is asking for help at a base cap, other outfits might not want to help because they know they won't get the tag on that base. This problem is only worsened by the newly added Outfit Wars qualifications. Now you are directly competing with other outfits for the #1 spot on your server. I think this point is possibly the worst thing to come out of the Escalation update. If RPG keeps pushing the Outfit Wars and puts out more desirable rewards for being #1, I think there's a good chance that things could get a lot worse. We obviously have to see if the competitiveness will die down by itself, but for now, winning alerts don't matter, tagging bases does.
Yep, for us, these down.
But moving on to some smaller in-game changes, Sanctuary is pretty cool and has a lot of potential in the future, but for right now, it's not that impacting. There is the topic of pre-existing problems/bugs that were in the game before the update, but I will touch on those more later in the video. So for the new metas/game mechanics, I want to say this was a success, but I think the interfaction rivalries bring it down a lot. I honestly am surprised to see not as many people talking about it. I think it could be devastating to the game if it gets too competitive. For the time being, I'm going to say that the additional metas and game mechanics are neither a success or a failure, but just a neutral. I think that covers most of the main things that the update added to the game. There are smaller things, but overall, I think what the update added to the game is beneficial. I think the added player pop is such a positive that the impact of the update has to be viewed positively, at least for the time being. But let's move on to how Daybreak prepared for this update. I think that the preparation of anything dictates how well that thing will be presented. I think that that's pretty obvious. So to start, I just want to say that I think RPG did a fantastic job in preparing and releasing this update. Compared to other big updates, RPG did way more playtests, took in way more community feedback, and gave themselves the necessary time to fine-tune the update. I want to congratulate the RPG team for such a good launch to the update, so the preparation for the update, easily a success. But I want to touch on a couple other complaints that I saw from the community. A lot of these ideas and opinions that are in this video came from a Reddit poll I made, asking people whether they thought the update was a success. The majority of people said it was a success, but a couple comments caught my eye. They pointed out that Planetside 2 has a lot of existing problems, which should be dealt with, which is 100% true, but I think that they're missing the point of this update. Just 5 months ago, Planetside 2 looked very different. There was still only one main continent with all the fights on it, my outfit struggled to get 3 full squads. Now we can sometimes fill 2 platoons. To put it bluntly, Planetside 2 was dying. It was going down the path of being barely maintained enough to keep the servers up, and letting the population slowly whittle away. Planetside 2 needed some attention, some hype, some fresh players. Planetside 2 didn't need bug fixes if there was going to be no one to experience those bugs. The Escalation update's intention was to get this new hype. It was to get this new player pop, so that the game had something to work with. Now that they have the new hype and the population, they have to keep it. This is when I think RPG needs to tackle the already existing problems of Planetside 2. I'm talking about the new player experience, the performance, these big problems that have plagued Planetside 2 since its launch. And with RPG's new attitude and dedication to the game, I am extremely optimistic for the future of Planetside 2. To conclude this video, do I think the Escalation update was a success? I do. Do I think that things need to be fixed? Of course I do. Things always need to be fixed. Am I optimistic and excited about the future of Planetside 2? Hell to the yes. If you found this video helpful or interesting, then please drop a like on it. It helps this video and my channel out greatly. Please share your opinion on whether you thought the Escalation update was a success in the comments below. I'd love to discuss different thoughts with you guys. I again just want to congratulate the RPG team for such a good launch and preparation for this update. This thing was massive and you guys did amazing releasing it. But if you guys are new around here, then please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.